They say great companies are built on innovation, a tradition of excellence, and an unwavering commitment to their customers. Throughout its rich and diverse history in South Africa, UD Trucks has produced legendary vehicles that have built an outstanding reputation in the local transport industry due to their unrelenting reliability, versatile performance, and suitability to South African road and operating conditions. And over the past 50 years, it has been the professionalism, passion, and dependability of the people that have been part of the UD Trucks family that have carried the brand to reach multiple milestones and successes. Even though UD Trucks vehicles as we know them today were sold under a number of names and identities, there has always been one constant fact: UD Trucks' ultimate dependability. It all began in 1962 when the first UD Trucks vehicles were imported into the country by Stanley Motors in Johannesburg. These were the TC80 4x2 model and the TC81 6x4 model. Later on in the decade, the Nissan diesel products were transferred to Roslyn Motor Assemblers and assembled in the McCraw Timbers factory in Roslyn. The factory was developed by the workers and the assembly done by hand. Between 1966 and 1968, the majority shares of the company were acquired by Messina Mining, who started to establish an extensive Nissan diesel dealer network around the country. The legendary ND6 engine series were also introduced, and the renamed UG780 would remain a stalwart in the company well into the 90s. In the early 70s, the Nissan diesel model lineup was enhanced by the introduction of new products, namely the CK10 and CK20 with ND6 engines, as well as the CK40 with a PD6 engine. New 6x4 model variants were also launched, most notably the CW40 with a PD6T engine. The company's major shares were acquired by Sanlam in 1977 as the new CK and CW series were launched in the local market. In 1980, the company's new truck division, Magnus Truck Corporation, was formed.
1983, when I started out in UD Trucks, it was Nissan Diesel then. The UD brand had been pushed back for a couple of years. At that particular time, we had a bit of confusion in the market. We had Magnus Truck Corporation. A lot of people thought it was Magnus Milan's company because he was the Minister of Defence then. We had Nissan Motor Company in the background. We had Nissan Diesel, the brand that we were then selling. And we had Samag, which was the commercial version of of the Samol. Eventually, of course, Nissan Diesel, as it was then reversed into Nissan Motor Company, or Nissan South Africa, as it was. And the brand became a little bit more easy to manage. We had Nissan Diesel trucks with Nissan passenger cars. The Nissan Diesel with the ADE engine took a step up. The original CK20s and CW41s and those trucks, they were turbocharged 260 horsepower. When ADE arrived, we had 407T engines, so we went up to 280 horsepower. So actually it was a leg up. And we made some amazing deals inside government tenders. UG780s. We sold them by the 100. Funnily enough, of course, that was a 12-ton GVM truck without power steering. So I don't know who steered the truck, but anyway, we sold hundreds of them. I remember being in Botswana and with Kali Fari, who was then the service manager for Nissan Diesel. And everybody wanted to strip this engine because it was using too much oil. It was a brand new truck. And Kali did a simple thing which I'll never forget. He just said, bring me a dipstick from the parts department. So they bought a dipstick from the parts department. The truck had the wrong dipstick in it. That's why it was using oil.
Throughout the 80s and into the early 90s, Nissan Diesel continued to upgrade its product range, including the evolution of the CW range, from the CW45 to the CW47, and eventually the CW56. The CM range, which was first introduced in 1985, progressed in 1990 to consist of the CM10, 12, 14 and 16 derivatives. Also in 1990, the legendary Cabstar 20 range was launched in the MCV segment with a Nissan diesel engine. As reduced import duties on trucks have allowed manufacturers to switch back to original engines, the Cabstar 35 to 40L series was introduced to the market with a FD46 engine. From 1998 to 1999, Nissan Diesel also launched its OE engines, namely the PF6 and FD6 series, and in the process became the first manufacturer to complete the transition back to original equipment. The company also embarked on its first venture into the 6x4 high-end truck tractor market segment with a UD430WT featuring an RF8 engine.
The key challenges in those days is that we had moved from the truck makers' days where we were building a lot of the military vehicles. We had a fairly disjointed operation in the sense that the manufacturing was very much part of the bigger light vehicle plant. The engineering was part of engineering and the light vehicle side, and the same with sales and marketing. I think the first challenge was to bring that all together, which we did as a team and put everything in what's now known as the old truck plant. But very importantly, it was the era of really bringing back the true UD, or Nissan Diesel brand and DNA, which was really the driveline, the engines, and enabled us to start building up a vehicle park that we could capitalize on and provide high levels of service from a Nissan Diesel parts point of view or UD parts point of view, and really build the future of which this brand has grown, with the correct DNA being Nissan Diesel drivelines or UD drivelines. In addition to that, Nissan Diesel or UD had a very strong brand from the, if I think back in the old, I think it was the UG 780 days. So there was a heritage. But obviously from a fleet owner's point of view, where you used to have to carry only one range of parts and one level of training in your workshops and things, it was a fairly significant change. But we actively engaged with our customers because obviously they're the foundation of the brand and not only the past but the future of UD, and actively engaged with them to identify ways that we could make that transition a lot easier. And that might have been providing additional training, consignment parts, a number of activities. And at the end of the day, it was a difficult transition for many of our key customers, but they worked very closely with us. And I think if one looks back and the UD team looks back, a number of those customers from those days are still very, very key components of UD's past success, and no doubt will be part of their future success. Number one, bringing a team together and really tackling the whole growth of UD as a team. And seeing how people grew from whether they happened to be in engineering or manufacturing. And I look back on the team that were there in those days, and many of them are now playing a very significant part of UD's success today, and have played that in the past. So it was that, bringing the team together, number one. And probably very importantly was the effort that everyone put in as a team to build the relationships with those customers who today have been the foundation in which Nissan Diesel has grown. And I think back on the times that we spent together, and a lot of those customers still today are friends of mine. And yeah, I think overall it was great, a successful time. There were a number of months where we outsold Daimler in those days, and those are some of the highlights, but we also had a lot of fun doing it. And I think it was a very close-knit family, which still I see within the UD family today. It is something that I think a lot of companies would envy, in that it's really been built as a tight-knit family, and hopefully from that base it's going to continue going from success to success.
The launch of the UD 440 series signaled the start of a new age in the history of the company, making serious inroads into the upper end of the market. The first Japanese manufacturer to do so locally. In 2002, Nissan Diesel South Africa formally separated from the passenger car operations to become a dedicated trucking company, with 80% of the company owned by Nissan Diesel Motor Corporation in Japan and the balance held by Mitsui. The innovative Escort transmission was first introduced into the market on the UD 400 KT during 2004. And at the same time, Nissan Diesel South Africa first offered maintenance contracts to customers. With a revamp of the UD60 to UD100 range in 2005, Nissan Diesel managed to regain a large part of its market share in the HCV segment. It was also during this time that Nissan Diesel introduced new dealer operating standards, launched its training academy and SVR workshop for customized adaptations, all to provide customers with the necessary support and service they needed. The state-of-the-art Quan Extra Heavy truck range was launched in 2008, utilizing new generation technology across the model lineup. The assembly plant was also revamped to double its capacity, while the parts warehouse and training academy were upgraded to meet growing demand. In 2010, the company's entire range meets Euro 2 emission standards with the launch of the company's new HCV engine range. And a new era dawned in September of that year as the company and brand name changed to UD Trucks Southern Africa, with the local operations taking on responsibility for more African countries. Looking back over the past 5 decades, UD Trucks Southern Africa has emerged as one of the region's leading truck manufacturers, continually adapting to the changing needs of our customers and delivering services and products that go beyond the expected. And now, moving into the future as we build on this legacy, UD Trucks will continually aim to fulfill its core values: to be professional, passionate and dependable in every aspect of our business. We are committed to this journey, traveling on this road to success with you.